Hey everyone, HerbQuest back at it again with another audiobook installation. I know yesterday I did say that would be my last one, and I did go all sellout mode with the links down below and the begging for likes and all that. Don't do that often, but hey, gotta expand the channel somehow. So moving on, today we have the scroll books. I didn't include these as part of the audiobook series, and these are also, some of them, a bit shorter. I figured I'd do all of the scrolls all in one. I already did the timeline, but I'm not going to read out a timeline. That'd be tedious not only for me, the creator, but also for you, the viewer. I don't think anyone would want to sit through that and listen to a series of dates just droned out like that. But these are actually like legitimate stories, and I will read these because they are part of the lore, and that's what this whole series is sort of meant to do, is be a lore awareness, more or less. Like, hey everyone, there's a backstory to this game and this place, and it's actually somewhat well done. But moving on with the actual lore, let's get right into it. Hope you guys enjoy these readings. The first reading here is going to be a letter of Lord Sidious. Letter of Lord Sidious. To the most venerable chamber of the Council of Elders. I hope that this time finds you well, and that your times are bountiful. Sadly, I cannot say the same is true for everyone in this great town of ours. This morning I passed children starving in the streets, unable to walk, or already dead in the gutter, and although I have the ability to help them, I am forbidden to do so. My most venerable council, I beseech you to grant my request as mentioned in previous meetings at your chamber. We can grow enough food to extricate us from the famine we've experienced these last 5 years. However, I cannot do so without the appropriate amount of land. Only yesterday did I meet with the lords of all the houses, and we agreed in principle that all houses would offer half of their land so we may farm more. Within 6 months, we can have enough food to halt the famine. I understand the most venerable council's concern of the political implications of such a move. However, the political security of this great town will not matter if it is unable to feed itself. Anarchy is only months away, and as such, any delay in this decision can have catastrophic results. I know the council is wise, and I am sure you will see the decision you must make is to grant this request. Yours most respectfully, Lord Sidious IV. And we've reached the end of this reading. One thing it kind of reminds me of is one thing that I learned in anthropology about the importance of a food surplus to the advancement of a society. Because in order to have things like culture, religion, art, etc., you need to have a food surplus first, otherwise those things just aren't in that society. And there seems to be a famine and legal restraints on growing extra food and feeding the poor, so that leads me to believe that this might be taking place during the time that Zarek reigned over the houses of Kourend, and perhaps this letter is a result of that sort of political situation. Moving on with the next scroll to read, though, we have The Killing of a King. Killing of a King. The hope he had upon his shoulders of all that's bad with his soldiers. It was a fool's errand, we say, to end the rules and make him pay. But yet he charged with his fighters, through they barged, not leave survivors. They make a roar and plunge the knife in all man's hope to end his life. But it was brief that all the men felt such relief, and it was then The sky turned dark, the clouds did muster, the army did mark, the men did cluster. Together they make the feeling safe, for their own sake the coming raid. Upon the blood field a spirit did raise, not ready to yield to his army's praise. His power that day, it grew and grew, he won the battle with his body new. He resigned with fear for 100 years, with every tear you heard his cheers. Time has long passed, and this story epic, the memory must last of the evil Zarek. And with that, we've reached the end of this scroll. Not really sure which king was killed, if it was Zarek killing one of the existing kings, Zarek and his army, in order to take control, or if that was the fall of Zarek. It's kind of ambiguous there, but moving on to the Tragedy of Tristan. The Tragedy of Tristan. Across the city I did stare, as it burned into the air. To the dream I did not invent dare, that across the city, looking fair, a man of such countenance did bear my love, a feeling with which was rare. With death the city was in disaster, life was lost, and what else after? The end of things, and never laughter, and yet the feeling for my master, a man of such countenance did bear my love, a feeling which was rare. Across the city our love betrayed, within our houses we had stayed, and yet with such a willing maid, our plans to be together were laid, with a man of such countenance did bear my love, a feeling which was rare. The day drew near to launch our plan, together we could be again. The time apart which caused the strain would soon be over, as I deign. A man of such countenance did bear my love, a feeling which was rare. Where once our love grew so strong, we would meet where we begun. But how could I have been so wrong? For who did I wait all day long? A man of such countenance did bear my love, no more did he share. With sorrow I did look for sign, not understanding what was mine, and our love which was entwined, the future did seem only a crime, as a man of such countenance did bear my love, no more did he share. I climbed up to the highest tower, and below as I looked upon the flower, down below my heart did not cower, and I knew that this was the hour, as the man of such countenance did bear my love, no more would any man share. And with that we've reached the end of the Tragedy of Tristan. To me that seems to be kind of a suicide note of a poem. A lovesick woman named Tristessa seems to have been essentially dumped and climbs up to a tower, and it alludes to the notion that she jumps. So that's kind of a solemn poem. Not too much else to say about that in terms of lore, but moving on to the Journey of Radha. The Journey of Radha. And so the king did stand on high, above the heavens they heard him cry. So those with ears to take heed, to whom he wished to bequeath the most important part of wisdom, to help with the journey of his son. The king did lament his son's course. He didn't show if there was recourse, should his son never return, and he could not yet ever learn of what happened from this day, and how his son's future lay. The years went past, but not a word about his son had he heard. A stick did aid, his eyes did fade, but still no word to him was bade. As every man must fall to time, the king no different did decline. Had the king have seen his son, he would have surely seen him shown, after many years of travel, and thinking his journey would unravel, he led his people through the gloom, a princely man to which he blew. A towering city he has today, even though the king would have no way to know the future of his son, and all the trials he had overcome. He would be happy at the end if he could have seen great Corinne. And with that, we've come to the end of the Journey of Radha. I'm not sure which Radha this was, as according to the timeline, there's three of them, Radha the first, second, and third. I'm guessing this must be the second. But at the same time, it could also be the first, because we don't know about any kings or rulership before Radha. And at the end, it references the Great Corinne as if Radha had founded Corinne, and that's sort of what the first Radha did. He was ruler of Corinne. So it's kind of hard to say. Let me know what you guys think about that, what you make of it down in the comments below. And here we have the last one, the Coronation Speech of King Byron I. Coronation Speech of King Byron I. Now we can talk with our own voices. Together we bring liberation, freedom, and a future. Gone is the tyrant, we threw him down. Our freedom is not without cost. Many died, and much has been destroyed. Yet more needs to be destroyed before we can heal the wounds of this past century. All icons and imagery that betray our freedom must be cast down. Not only cast down, but resurrected also. Resurrected as symbols of freedom, hope, and warning. My friends, my people, we start a journey today. A most difficult journey. We must rebuild much of what has been destroyed. Our houses, our farms, and our temples. We must rebuild more than just buildings. We must rebuild our friendships, our memories, and our understanding of freedom. We must remember what hope is, what hope means, and dare to imagine what hope can bring. We have the chance to create a great future, make Corinne great once more. Together we can achieve anything, and we must be together to progress. Forget your rivalries, forget your past grievances, and forget them you must. Only with a clear mind and unified approach can we achieve our deserved future. Forward as one. Speech of King Byron I on the occasion of his coronation. And with that, we've come to the end of the scroll containing King Byron's coronation speech. I found it interesting that there were references, well, at least I sort of picked up references to the past two American presidents, Obama with the message of hope, and Trump with the Make Corinne Great Again. So that seemed interesting there. I haven't stated my own views, but it is interesting that JJX decided to incorporate this sort of pseudo perspective where this King Byron leader has traits of both, because American politics is pretty polarized right now, which is why I stayed neutral. But at any rate, we've reached the end of all 5 of the scrolls. I decided to do those all in one go, all in one shot, because it seems a lot easier to do it that way, and this acts as a sort of grand finale to the audiobook series. Looking forward to Dragon Slayer 2 and any more they decide to incorporate into that. I hope there's some more text for that, because I've grown to like this series over time. I'm almost a little sad that there's no more lore to read. I mean, I guess I could do something like read the dialogue between characters, like when you're talking to the wise old man, you can ask about his history and whatnot. I don't think it'd be necessarily a good idea to do one for every single NPC in the game, because that'd be tedious, and I don't think all the conversations are that important to the lore. But there are some conversations that you can have with NPC where you learn more about the lore than you do in some of the books. So, if you guys think that'd be a good idea, or you want to recommend any NPCs to read the dialogue for between the adventurers, let me know down in the comments and I can get that done. And well, that's officially the end of the audiobook series for now. Peace, guys.